Welcome, everybody, to Chronicles of a Dallas County Democrat. I am your host, AZ Zion. In this podcast, we interview local activists and see how they got to where they are today. And in today's episode, we have Julio Chaparro and Aggi Alvarado. Guys, say hi.
Hi.
Joppa's finest. All right. Julio and Aggi, I'm going to start with Julio first. You mind sharing a little bit about yourself with the audience?
Bueno, sí. Mi nombre es Julio Chaparro, soy ciudadano naturalizado americano, mexicano de nacimiento. Tengo 4 años viviendo en Joppa y me interesó mucho la manera en que se estaba llevando el caso de la polución, de la contaminación ambiental en el área de Joppa y en el área completamente. Y me envolví en esto. Y la verdad es que hay que hacer conciencia de lo que estamos viviendo y lo que estamos pasando por las compañías de chingo que están aquí pasando la calle. Y entonces, pues esa es mi introducción. Yo con todo gusto comparto mi testimonio.
His name is Julio Chaparro, and we've been living here in Joppa for 4 years now. What got him into, he says that, he is born and raised in Mexico, and he became a U.S. citizen I would say a lot of years ago. And what got him into pretty much in this movement was the pollution that he saw that was affecting Joppa residents and as ourselves that we live here. And he is very concerned about, like, I guess, what the city wants to or is going to do if it comes to a point where they actually do something.
Sure. Now, Julio, you mentioned, born and raised in Mexico. My parents are immigrants too. I think it's kind of jarring for immigrants to come over to the United States and see that, things are not maybe what they imagined it to be. You coming over to Joppa and seeing the air pollution. Is that how you kind of saw things, or did you see things being as bad as they are when you moved to the United States?
En realidad, cuando yo tengo aquí viviendo 47, 48 años, y cuando yo llegué a Estados Unidos era lo mejor que me podía haber pasado en la vida. Había libertad, económicamente todo estaba muy bien, mi familia y yo pudimos vivir hasta hace poco bien, admirando este país, respetando las leyes del país y cuando yo me cambié a Joppa, miré la diferencia entre el área donde yo vivía antes al área donde me cambié hoy. Y lo que me movió más fue ver un reportaje de la Universidad de A&M, y cómo la polución estaba tan fuerte en el área que prácticamente, en otras palabras, no se podía vivir en Joppa. Vivimos aquí porque en realidad muchos no tienen otra oportunidad. Tal vez a mí me gustó el área, a mi esposa, pero eso fue lo que me movió a envolverme en esto, a concientizar a la gente, al vecindario, al área de Joppa, que estábamos viviendo o viviendo sobre una bomba de tiempo.
¿Cuántos años dice que?
47, 48.
He's been in the US for about 48 years already. But in the area where we used to live, it was different, I guess, because we had the hospital, we're so close to downtown. You have we're just, I would say, like about 2 blocks from Highland Park. So I would say that would make a huge difference. But our area got gentrified, and a lot of the Hispanic or Latino people that lived in that area, by Medical City, I mean by medical district, um pretty much, I would say, got I would say pretty good offers on their land on selling, but at the same time, I guess those houses right now are, I would say, like over 1 million. So when my parents, like when he moved here to Joppy, he moved here because um he liked the community, the neighbors, and they got pretty much a brand new house. So at the same time, but they, I guess, like he says, he didn't take conscious of the I guess of TAMKO that was right there. But he more liked the community, as far as to, there's a lot of trees around here, and the fact that we have really good neighbors. um and at the same time, like he says, like economy and everything else here in the US when he first got here, it was very different to what we're experiencing now. I guess at the same time, that's what he means when he says that he noticed the difference of where we used to live to moving to Joppy, and noticing that here is just black and brown um, people, versus to where we were just 2 blocks down from Highland Park, which everybody knows Highland Park is like the rich neighborhood. So it is a huge difference. So when you live here in Joppy, and everybody here is either Latino or African American. So he did notice that, and I guess that at the same time, that's what he says. He took an interest in trying to, I guess, fight the shingle company.
Cuando me
Right.
moví aquí Estados Unidos era Estados Unidos y cuando yo me moví aquí a Estados Unidos, hace 48 años, Estados Unidos era el país de las oportunidades.
He says that when he moved here 48 years ago, the U.S. was the land of opportunity.
Y así lo viví hasta hace poquito, hasta hace 2, 3 años.
And that's why he pretty much came here, and that's where he lived until a few, I would say, 2, 3 years ago. I guess that dream just kind of died down for many.
So I want to get to Tamco and Joppy and all that to kind of give a little bit of context to the audience who don't yet know about it. But I want to kind of backtrack a little bit to your life in Mexico. So why don't you kind of share a little bit about your life in Mexico? Where did you grow up? What were you doing? Then what went into your thought process of moving to the United States?
Wow. Nací en el estado de Chihuahua, eh, para Casas Grandes, Chihuahua. Crecí en un pueblo chiquito, fuera de Casas Grandes, ya en el centro de Chihuahua, con mis padres, mis hermanos, en un pueblito llamado Saucería. Eh, Viví mi infancia, la mejor infancia de mi vida, o la mejor infancia que cualquiera puede haber vivido. México es un país hermosísimo y mi padre se mudó a Sinaloa y anduvimos, de Sinaloa nos regresamos a Chihuahua. Él compró un rancho y ahí en la sierra de San Juanito, por ahí, pues ahí crecimos entre vacas, de cerros, entre caballos, entre la agricultura, la ganadería, pero felices. Esa fue la etapa más feliz de mi vida hasta el tiempo que yo me vine para acá. Como me vine solo, cambió todo el panorama y ya empecé a vivir una vida diferente. Pero tengo una familia, son 8 hermanos mi padre, mi madre, y prácticamente mi padre no estuvo presente, entonces, eh, pues fue duro, pero a la vez muy, muy felices.
He was born and raised in the state of Chihuahua, Mexico. In a, I would say it's pretty much like Casas Grandes is the area. But then from there, they moved to a small, small town called Sauceria. ¿Cuántos hermanos tiene?
Ocho.
He comes from a pretty big family. In all brothers and sisters, he has 8. Um, they, along with his parents, when they were young, he says that he lived a very beautiful childhood, a very fun, beautiful childhood as far as he can remember. He grew up pretty much in the field in a pretty big ranch that my grandpa had bought when they moved to Sinaloa, Mexico. But unfortunately, um, my grandparents didn't stay together, so they separated, and my grandpa wasn't really, I guess, present in his life, but that didn't keep him from having a fun childhood. ¿Qué más dijiste?
Pues que crecí entre vacas y caballos
So yeah, pretty much
y una vida muy feliz.
he grew up pretty much like, I guess, raising cows and horses, and what pretty much the living in a small town and a ranch life is like. ¿Y aquí en Estados Unidos?
Bueno, aquí cambió mi vida porque llegué solo, joven, 20 años, y empecé a tener amigos que no me reportaban nada, entonces sí medio me perdí un poquito, pero gracias a Dios que me rescató y entonces conocí a Cristo y viví una vida diferente con mi familia.
So he pretty much says that he got here to the United States by himself when he was 20 years old. It wasn't a fun experience at all when he first got here. He had pretty much bad influences in during his younger years here in the U.S., but he was fortunate enough to know Christ, and Christ pretty much rescued him. We're he comes from a Catholic family, but at the same time, um, when he came here to the US, I guess that's what he's talking about, that he became a Christian. So I guess pretty
Cambió mi vida.
that's where his life took a dramatic change.
20 years old, moving to the United States. I don't know what I was doing at 20, but it definitely wasn't anything that important or that life changing. What kind of went into your decision to move? And did you have any other family members who were supporting you or who were against your decision? Did you have family members who were going with you?
Bueno, la necesidad, porque como mi padre ya no se hizo presente, yo me quedé al cargo como el más grande, aunque no era el mayor, soy el del medio, pero me hice cargo de la familia y pasamos mucha necesidad y entonces yo decidí venirme a Estados Unidos a trabajar para ayudar a mi familia y aquí me quedé.
So he says that he pretty much came on his own. He's a middle child. So he's not the oldest, but seeing that my grandpa was not present, he had to pretty much take it on his own to support or try to help the family. As I'm pretty sure once he got here, he saw that he didn't. He pretty much got here on his own. Once he was here, then a few of my uncles started coming over, but I can only imagine him being 20 years old, coming to the US, not knowing where he's gonna live or where he's gonna stay or what he's gonna eat. Is he gonna find a job? But just coming with that I guess thing in his mind of just helping his family and providing for his mom and his younger siblings
Una maleta llena de ilusiones y de proyectos.
with uh with pretty much a backpack full of dreams.
Yeah, absolutely. I often tell people that immigration or moving to another country is the greatest form of entrepreneurship. So if you want to learn how to be an entrepreneur, talk to someone who moved to another country. How was Dallas the first city, the first area in the United States you went to?
Dallas fue la primera ciudad que te viniste.
Yes, the first and the only one.
The only one.
Mm.
Is there a particular reason for Dallas?
Porque aquí había gente conocida de algunos, gente conocida del lugar de donde yo vivía.
Because he knew a few people from his hometown that lived here in
Okay.
Dallas.
And Aggie, is that where you were born?
Yes, I was born and raised here in Dallas, over by Maple, and I went to high school here and everything. I moved to South Carolina in my early 30s, and recently, I would say like about no, basically 3 years ago, I came back. And
Okay.
pretty much I came
Awesome.
back because of my parents. They're aging, they're not getting any younger, and I want to be here for them and with them.
Sure. Sure. Absolutely. How was the immigration process, Julio, moving here? How was the climate back then? 40 years, so that must have been the Reagan years. How was
Yes.
that whole process for you?
En ese tiempo todo era muy nivelado, no había, bueno, racismo creo que siempre ha habido, pero no se notaba mucho. Había redadas de migración, pero no al nivel que hay ahora.
He pretty much became legal in this country. He became a resident first during the times of Ronald Reagan. The climate, he said, was very different to what we're experiencing now. Back then, um, he says racism has pretty much existed, but back then it wasn't as noticeable as it is now. I guess they were pretty much hiding, like they were not out and about like uh, as they are right now, but that's how he became a resident first. And then, ¿cuántos tiempos te tomó para hacerte ciudadano?
Años, muchos años. No quería hacerme ciudadano yo por no sé qué razón, pero ahorita ya van más de 10 años que soy ciudadano.
So it took him a long time before he became a U.S. citizen. He's been a U.S. citizen for the last, I would say, a little bit over 10 years.
Y quiero contarte que la manera en como yo llegué a Estados Unidos, pues primeramente fue muy difícil porque sin recursos y nada, tuvimos que caminar por días para poder estar acá.
And I guess he missed out on saying when he came to the U.S., he didn't come in a vehicle. It was days of walking from the border or pretty much from the border to Dallas.
Yeah, that's insane. Um, let's talk about that then. Walking from Chihuahua to Dallas. I'm assuming you had, please correct me if I'm wrong, coyotes on the way here. How was that whole process like?
He pretty much says that from I guess the border they got to Odessa. And I guess from Odessa to here they got a ride from a random person pretty much just gave them a ride to Dallas.
Wow, yeah, I love it. So you mentioned racism was it was still there, but it wasn't as overt as it is now. Can you kind of describe the differences between racism back then and racism now? Was there any specific instances or just a general trend?
En realidad, creo que el racismo fue más para el lado del sur de Texas o para el norte. La verdad, yo como llegué aquí a Dallas, no, la verdad nunca sentí ese racismo del que hablaban. Me moví entre,
Nunca te llamaron la migración y dieron la
no, estuve viviendo en un área privilegiada, creo en el norte de Dallas, y se oía, se sentía, había migración, había agarraban a la gente y se la llevaban a mucha gente, pero en realidad, a comparación de hoy, yo puedo decir que el racismo se sentía un 10, 15% a como está hoy.
He says that he felt racism back then, I guess, 10, 15% compared to what it is now. He was pretty much, he lived in a good area of Dallas when, in his younger years, in the north part of Dallas, North Dallas, I would say. And it wasn't like, yeah, there was immigration, there was ICE grabbing people left and right, but it wasn't like they like what it is right now. Like, it was very different. It wasn't like people calling specifically ICE just to come and get somebody because they were just being racist. I mean, not what it is, not like as it is right now. I mean, he was able to pretty much, I guess, get away. But like he says, racism is just outpouring right now.
I guess I'm going to ask you this question too, Aggie. Do you and Julio, do you guys both fear for your lives, your livelihoods, or for your loved ones during this time?
I guess they fear more me since I'm more out and about in the car. So the first thing they say, I know my mom said, you need to carry your passport, because even if you carry your ID or your driver's license, that seems to not even be enough for them. So I have to literally carry my passport with me, um, even if it's just a short ride, or even if we go to the store. Actually, when was it, last week? The grocery store my mom is used to going whenever she does her groceries. Um, they got Eyes got showed up early in the morning, which is around the time she likes to go. I think it was like 9 o'clock in the morning, and it just saddens me because at that time, all you have is just like your older people, your senior citizens getting their groceries and stuff like that. And it's so sad that, they had to go through that. And I'm just thankful that we were not there during that time, that we didn't actually go to the store that day. And ever since, my mom hasn't want to go. She prefers going to, I guess, the more, I guess, frequented by white people stores. Like, I guess because she knows that ICE is not going to show up there. They show up to the Latino grocery stores, which is so sad.
So we have to put this out there then. What grocery store was your mom at where she saw ICE agents?
Um, it's
Rancho.
it's called El Rancho. It's on Maple. And she usually goes to, that's her favorite store, Oil Rio, which is on, what is it, Wanna Hill and Marsh Lane. And then, but so right now, she wants to stay safer, so she goes to the Walmart that's in Uptown, or she goes to Tum Thum or Kroger's, because she knows that, I mean, certain things are a little pricier that she's used to getting. But in order to pretty much not have that experience of, especially, I fear more because my mom does not speak English. She understands it. She's been here for more than half of her life, and I cannot imagine an ICE agent trying to rough up my mother. I mean, she has osteoporosis, so her bones are very fragile. She has a hip replacement, so she has to walk with a cane and things like that. No, I don't know what I would do if anything was to happen to her.
No, absolutely. Do you guys personally know of anybody, friends or family members, who have been approached by ICE agents?
Oh yeah, we do have a lot of friends that live in Pleasant. Is it Pleasant Grove? In Pleasant Grove. And I know that area has been like hot. Like, ICE has not left that area at all. They've been
Mm,
up and down all those streets, that entire area. They show up to that bazaar that's right there. They showed up to the apartments. Well, I have friends that live in certain apartments. I don't even know the name of the apartments, but they had called us. And in fact, I have she's pretty much like my dad. We pretty much adopted her as family, but she's a family friend. But she's so her and her husband are really, really young, and to the point that the ICE was showing up around her area a lot. And my sister pretty much told her, if you want to stay over here, while all this kind of, calms down. So, and the reason why, because she's in the process of getting her status legalized. And we know they're not even respecting that. So we want her to be able to finish her process and being able to stay legal um here in the United States. But if she gets caught, then she wouldn't be able to finish that. I mean, even if she's trying to do it the right way, they won't let it happen. And I guess here in Joppy, we haven't seen ICE out here. I guess because we're so close to South Dallas, and South Dallas
mhm,
is mainly African American. And then at the
mhm.
same time, Joppy is a community that's pretty much we're not part of South Dallas. We're not part of Oak Cliff. We're not part of Pleasant Grove, but we're like pretty much in the middle.
Mhm.
And nobody knows we exist. Like
True
Joppy
that.
community, you saw Joppy community is just like nobody knows it's there unless, somebody that lives here. Then you're like, oh yeah, Joppy's right there. Like we're just right off 40, but we have TAMKO right next door. And then the what is it? Pretty much all that area. I mean, you cannot see Joppy unless you go over the bridge.
True that. Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, so first of all, regarding the ICE agents, I may be wrong about this. I like to think of myself someone who follows news in and around Dallas. There's hardly, and correct me if I'm wrong about this, guys, there's hardly any news about the stories that you guys just told right now, like ICE agents in Pleasant Grove, raiding El Rancho and Rio Grande Market and things of that nature. We don't really hear those stories, do we?
Mhm. No, I mean, the only way you'll know where they're at is because um I guess people have took it upon themselves to pretty much report where they're seeing it. It's just, and it's not specifically a certain group. It's just like you hear it's by word. Like you hear it from a family member, you hear it from somebody. Like if I'm even myself, like if I haven't seen them because I try to stay out of those areas. But if I ever am in a certain area and I see them, of course I'm gonna text my entire family. Of course I'm gonna post it so my friends and everybody can see it. But yeah, there's people, there's groups, there's pretty much everybody, trying to keep our community safe. And um, yeah, and inform that if you see them, you post it, you text it to everybody. That's the
Absolutely.
only way
Absolutely.
because yeah, the news are not covering any of that.
Yeah, they are not. And you would think that Dallas was immune to this and that it was a safe city, and it's not for these communities.
I don't
All
know.
right. So we talked about Julio's childhood and growing up. Aggie, let's move on to you. How
Okay.
was growing up in you said on Maple, Uptown? Is that right?
Yeah, pretty much I would say it's between medical district, like where Parkland and all that is,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and downtown. So we're like, I would say 5 minutes from the entrance of downtown. And we're like not even 5 minutes from where we used to live. It's not even 5 minutes from Parkland. So, um, and then we're like 2 blocks from, what is it? From Cedar Springs.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Lemon. And then between Lemon and Cedar Springs, there's an area that's considered, in fact, our zip code. was it's the same as a zip code in Highland Park, which is so funny, which is 75219. So whenever you put that zip code, everybody's like, they would say Highland Park or Dallas because Highland Park has their own.
It's
They're like
it's a
their
city.
own police, their own everything. So yeah, if you share a zip code with them, they'll anywhere they'll ask, Highland Park or Dallas.
Yeah, no, it's its own city for sure.
Yeah. So
Uh,
so
uh-huh.
I grew up in the '80s, so I'm an '80s baby. And as far as I guess racism, I didn't experience any of that. I think my school was pretty much diverse when I went to Sam Houston Elementary, and you had a few white kids, a few Latino kids, you had a few African American kids, so it was pretty much a blend. Um, and I didn't experience anything of what's going on right now. I grew up, of course, no cell phones, none of that was around. So childhood was very, very different to what I see kids going through nowadays. I mean, I cannot fathom the idea of going to school and fearing if my mom or my dad are not going to show up.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Julio, upon coming to the United States and in Dallas in particular, what did you do for work? How did you, uh, you know, provide for the family, and how many kids did you end up having?
Eh, yo, pues, trabajé mucho tiempo empecé a trabajar en restaurante, empecé a trabajar en un restaurante, de comida universal, empecé lavaplatos, estaba muy chavo y luego de ahí me pasé a la panadería, de ahí me pasé a la cocina y me fui un tiempo a México, regresé y sin trabajo y ya había nacido mi hija. Empecé a batallar, hubo un tiempo que llegué a deber meses de renta, un mes, 2 de renta, y me volví a acomodar otra vez en restaurante. Tengo 5 de familia, em, luego los más grandes, pues, de hecho, los más grandes son hijos de mi esposa nada más, yo los adopté como míos. Y ya ellos empezaron a trabajar y me ayudaron, pero fue difícil. Después entré a una compañía, y ahí duré 23 años, ya se acomodó todo, ya no batallé tanto, tuve un trabajo estable, continuo por 23 años. Entonces, ya hasta el día que me retiré y decidí cambiarme de área por cuestiones de mi casa ya estaba viejita y necesitaba mucha remodelación. Y yo no tenía el dinero para hacerlo, entonces me la compraron bien comprada y la vendí, y de ahí me cambié para acá. Pero sí pasé un tiempo difícil, hasta que ellos ya pudieron trabajar.
Um, when he got here to Dallas, he worked in the restaurant business, I guess. He started, of course, as a dishwasher. And then from there, he went on, of course, they put him in the bakery area. From there into being a cook, I guess helping the chef. He worked ¿cuántos tiempos tuviste en el restaurante?
Como 13, 14 años.
He worked in that business, I guess, cooking pretty much everybody's food. And I guess it was a Tex, era un Texas.
Después, pero sí,
Yeah, he
trabajé en
worked.
varios.
I remember he worked at a authentic Italian restaurant, and he worked at a Tex-Mex restaurant. Um, and then from there he worked. I know he worked for like about 13 years, and then until he found his job at a warehouse and doing shipping and receiving. He was there for 23 years until he retired. Um, but during that time, my s- my older brother and sisters, they're not. He adopted them pretty much because they were only my mom's children. And then I came into the picture. And but besides, like, during that time, he did go through times where he was unemployed. There was no job. So it was pretty hard, but there was always food on the table. We never depended from the government. We never asked for food stamps or any of that. The only help we would sometimes get was from, the churches that sometimes help, people with with food. Um there were times where we were behind about a month or two in rent, but thankfully there were, I guess, the tenants, they were just really, really nice with my parents. So they were like, I guess because they had lived there for such a long time, they already knew, one way or another they were gonna pay. So um just raising five of us until my sisters and my brother got older, and then they started working. And in well, I would say in our Mexican family household, it was pretty much like, once you got old enough and you work, you help in the family. You help pay bills, you help pay rent, you help pay everything. So yeah, but during the time when everybody was young and in school, um, it was pretty hard. I mean, trying to provide for five of us, and then all of a sudden just not having a job and having to pretty much find a way of how to feed all of us.
Te cuento que tenía un carrito chiquito, un Colt chiquito como un Volkswagen. Tenía un carrito chiquito y nosotros éramos 7 y siempre teníamos 1 o 2 de más en la familia, en el carro cabíamos 10 personas, no sé cómo cabíamos, pero, 10 personas en el carrito, un carrito, como el Volkswagen, los Volkswagen Pinacate.
I think it's a little hatchback.
Ujú.
He wants to. He's remembering the time when he used to have this really small car. I mean, literally only four people fit in there, but somehow we would make, I guess, all of us would fit in there. Somehow it was like a little. It wasn't a Volkswagen. It was like a little hutch. It just had a hatchback, but I remember me fitting in the back, like in the hatchback part area.
10 personas.
But yeah, we would go. That was the only car he had, so he had a he had to make it happen for all of us to fit in there if we ever went somewhere. I mean, to eat or anything like that, it was pretty much like we're all gonna fit in this car. I mean, it's a four-person car, but we're all gonna fit in it.
It, it reminds me of my family. Now, Aggie, did your parents make you guys all fit in the car for the smallest of errands that you had to run? Every family member has to go somewhere, even if it's just like something small and insignificant to everybody else.
I guess, and sometimes yes, because my parents didn't want to leave us at the home. But I guess once everybody got older, of course, not everybody wanted to go.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, at one point, even like imagine going to the grocery to go and buy groceries and taking all of us in the car plus the groceries. I mean, that was insane.
I ask only because I also come from an immigrant family, and our parents did the same exact thing. And we were like, why? Like, we're not providing any value when we go to the grocery store or whatever. I just thought it was funny.
Yeah, I mean, it was because people would like literally stare and see how how all of us were gonna fit in the car and how the groceries, because it wasn't like a little bit of groceries. No, it was pretty much like 2 weeks worth of groceries, and I don't even know how we made it happen.
We're all the same, man. We're all the same. Now you mentioned life, it was, kind of difficult, especially providing for five kids here in the United States. Did you imagine it to be this difficult, or how did you imagine life was going to be in the United States while you were in Mexico and as you were coming over here?
Mm, es que cuando uno tiene una necesidad no se imagina. Yo no pensaba cómo iba a ser mi vida en Estados Unidos. Yo lo único que quería era entrar a Estados Unidos, trabajar y levantar a mi familia y salir adelante.
Because you have when you have a big need, you don't really imagine how things are gonna be. You just want to come over and make things happen. So once he came over here, he was just like the biggest thing for him was just finding a job and being able to provide.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So, you mentioned your area, your neighborhood got gentrified,
Oh
which is
yeah.
unfortunate. It's unfortunate. Did that happen kind of in your childhood, Aggie?
Um, no, that happened once I got older, like before I left to South Carolina.
Hmm.
Um, our area was pretty much Latino dominated and African American and Asian. The houses, I guess they just started getting bought, little by little because they wanted to better the area. But of course, not for us. They want to better the area for people that are going to be buying these properties for over $1 million. Like my house is not there anymore. This is my childhood home.
Hmm.
And the reason why my dad sold was, or my mom and my dad sold that house was because it needed a lot of repairs and I guess to be up to the rest of the houses that they were making. And of course, they didn't have the money to pretty much renovate the entire home, but they did sell at a really good price compared to what they bought it for. I mean, um, and then being able to buy another house with that money without having to, have payments or anything like that. Well, that sounded, really, really good. But my childhood home was just a 3 bedroom, one bath. Now imagine seven of us trying to fit in. Trying to take turns into that bathroom. Um, and one, I guess the kitchen and the dining room where we had like the kitchen was really small, and then you had like the dining and the living room together. So it wasn't like a huge house, but we did have a big, big, huge backyard. And now what sits on there, it's a I would say like a three floor duplex, but
Hmm.
it's like a condominium. It's basically condominium. But
Hmm.
if you go to on their third floor, but basically their rooftop, you can see downtown and it looks beautiful. But I think they sold each one for like, I would say 700, no, 700,000. So imagine 700,000, 700,000. It's 14, it's
Yeah.
1.4 million now.
Hmm. Yeah.
So compared to my little, when they bought that house, they paid 50 grand.
That's the story of Dallas and a lot of other cities, unfortunately. People getting priced out, people getting pushed out. Is that uh when you made the decision to go to Joppa?
Yes. Yes, and then I remember during the time um I was I was in South Carolina. It was during the pandemic. So at the same time there was a lot of people from California buying houses here, and it was so hard for them to try to find a house because they were bidding these houses up a lot by a lot.
30 personas.
So every time they would wanted to go and see a house, there was a huge line. So my mom was like, "No, I am not gonna wait in line, and I'm not gonna, you know, bid more than I can for a house." I mean, yeah, the house is beautiful. So when they came to Joppy, I mean, they're still making new houses around the area, and there's a lot of families, moving into our area. Actually, we just in this year on our street we have one, two, three, like five families that moved into job in our street only. Like five families moved in our street this just in 2025. I mean,
Wow.
and these are like 5 new houses that got made, or actually 7 new houses. There's still 2 in the market that just recently, they were just finished. But, yeah, I mean, the house had a really good price. It was freshly made. Um, my parents came and they're like, "Okay, it's not far from Dallas. I mean, from downtown. Or we have 45 right here, just down the street, over the bridge, down the street." Um, they met a few neighbors, and they're like, they like the area as far as to, I guess the street where we live.
No much traffic.
Not a lot of traffic. Because nobody comes over here unless you live here.
Nobody goes.
So, so yeah, I mean, our backyard is full of trees. I guess at the same time, I told my dad, I guess that's what helps, kind of seep a lot of the pollution that we're experiencing, is that if we didn't have all these trees or this type of nature, because we're like so close to Trinity River,
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
think our health would be a lot worse. But because these trees that down here, they're over here, and my dad, he would fight for them not to, cut all this down, because this is what's helping, you know, seep down at least a lot of the at least I would say a good 30% of the pollution.
You hit on something at the very end there, and I can't let it go. I want to go more into Joppa and everything, but so I had been in Joppa around a year and a half ago, just doing
Mhm.
some work, and I think I saw a difference this time. We were all there this past weekend.
Yeah.
Um, and I saw a little bit of difference. I saw more construction, more renovation. It's kind
Oh
of
yeah.
what you hit on just a second ago. And I'm like, wait a minute. Like, I hadn't seen these houses. I hadn't seen these renovations. But then you mentioned there was like 5 houses on just your street alone, or 5 families moving into your street. Do you
Yeah.
fear that because of uh the acceleration of development in Joppa, that they might, bulldoze some of the trees and some of the natural, the vegetation and everything there? Is that a concern of yours?
It is. I mean, I know it is for him, because we've been receiving these houses that Habitat for Humanity is helping, making a lot of these houses. And then you have private builders that are making their $300,000 homes, um, around the area. But yeah, that's one of our fears, that they're gonna want to extend and then throw a lot of the vegetation down, and we don't want that. Now, this vegetation, it's helping, it helps us a lot. That's why I guess at the same time my dad has so many plants, because we need the oxygen. So that's why inside our house we have a lot of plants. Outside of like on our porch, there's even more plants. So yeah, I mean, we need it.
Yeah.
And yes, like you said, you saw how many new houses. In fact, just on the street over where we were this past weekend.
Hmm.
Um, I think there's like one, two, three, like I would say like 5 new houses just on that street.
Yeah, I definitely saw it. I definitely noticed a difference. It reminds me a little bit of Bonton. I went to Bonton, I think earlier this year, even, or maybe even
Mhm.
last year. Definitely last year, but I also saw a new development over there. Nice townhomes and everything, but definitely different. And
Yeah.
I often worry about, the effects, the
Yeah.
after effects of all of that. Um, so for those that don't know Joppa, or are not familiar with Dallas, you mentioned that it's hard to get to and there's not a lot of traffic. Describe Joppa for the audience for us.
Um, it's a Freeman's town. It was built by slaves that used to, and
Not too soon.
we've been here 4 years, and I took an interest in finding out, about the history of Joppy. And as far as I know, which is crazy, is that, you know, Joppy, they didn't, it was pretty much like just its own town away from Dallas. Of course,
Okay.
and then it was made pretty much for African American families, which I think was so wrong. And Joppy it was here way before TAMKO was, way before, and like it has a beautiful history. And a lot of the people that live here, they people consider, oh, poor people live there. It's a community. It's a lot of our older folks that live here, you know, they went there, they have their doctorates, they have their masters, their associates. So it's educated people. Um, there's single mothers, there's whole families. The people that live here have lived for generations and generations, like their great grandmother used to live here. So, they pass that on, towards where the grandchildren are the ones, that own the properties, and sometimes even probably even live here. So, and then you have like the newer generations that are moving in. So you have a little bit of everything. I know I have like two houses down. There's a man that he's a chef. He has his own, um he has his own business, where he cooks for big parties and stuff like that. And down the street, I know there's a lady that does eyelashes and things like that. And there's a school teacher that lives down the street also, and somebody that owns a food truck. Like there's so many people, like a diversity of people that live in Joppy. Um, you hardly will see the police over here, you know. You don't even hear the ambulance. It's very rare you will hear ambulance or police sirens in Joppy. At least in the area of Joppy where we're at, we don't hear it unless it's on the other side of the bridge that lets you into Joppy. But other than that, you don't hear any of that. Um, and I guess at the same time, if there's an emergency, cops do take forever to get here. Like I'm not kidding. Like an emergency, if you need a cop, they'll call you and they'll say, "Is this like an emergency, or they'll show up 2, 3, maybe 4 hours later. And
Hmm.
if it's not like a big emergency, they'll just call you the next day and say, if your emergency was, did you yourself resolve the emergency,
No,
which is
I
sad.
definitely believe it. Yeah, yeah. It's the neglect of an entire community.
Yeah, and then
It,
you have like a lot. I noticed there's a lot of older people, like a lot of senior citizens that live around here.
uh,
Um, like I said, it's a mix. You have your Gen Z, your Gen X, and your baby boomers, and whatever generations further back go to. But yeah, I mean, it's a mix of Latino. It's black and brown. Everybody lives here.
it's a beautiful community. It's one of
It
the
is.
friendliest communities that I've visited in Dallas. Everybody, it's almost as you said, it's almost like a whole nother town. Which, if for people who
Exacto.
haven't been to Joppy, they probably would think that they were in another, just in a small rural
Yeah,
town,
it is.
like not even Dallas, but it is Dallas. It's definitely it's a friendly community, but it's also secluded. Um,
Mucha gente no
and
sabe.
there's
Sí.
pros and cons to that, but definitely a lot of cons.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, for sure. So speaking of the neglect of a community, TAMKO.
Um,
S- not to get into the dramatic portion of this piece, but so you moved to Joppy. How soon after did you guys notice the air quality?
I would
And I guess
say.
I'll pose
¿Cuándo
this to
trotaste
both of
allí
you
en
guys.
cuanto a
Mm,
few weeks?
A few days, because I find the dust on my cars, the dust. Uh, when we moved to the Joppa, we noticed that the second day, and but we don't know about TAMKO. But by the time we
You
move,
see it there, but you don't know much about it, you know? You see TAMKO, but you don't know how much pollution, you know, it's coming over here. And the thing is that, like he said, pretty much the following day, I mean, you wash your car, and then the following day, it's all dusty again. And you would think, oh, well, no, we have TAMKO plus the other thing. I don't know what it is right there.
dusty
They have,
stone company.
yeah, they have gravel right there. So a lot of that, you know, I mean, you're breathing that plus whatever, you know, all the particulate matter that, you know, that TAMKO is pretty much gushing out, because it's a company that's running 24/7. Even if their employees, you know, they have a 9 to 5 or 8 to 4 or 8 to whatever, you know, they're working their 8 hours, you know. I don't know, they have different shifts, but they go home, you know, to rest. And that in TAMKO, you know, it's 24/7. Contamination
Hmm.
24/7. Which is unbearable. Like, depending on what time you're here in Joppy or coming, as soon as you're on top of the bridge, you can smell it. I know when I go to work and I come from work like around 4 or 5, like, it's so strong, and you think it's your car. No, it's not your car. I mean, it's the smell's so strong that it comes through it. You'll be able to smell it through your vents.
Hmm.
Now imagine the
And I
people here.
Uh-huh. And I should probably provide some context for those that don't know. TAMKO is an asphalt shingle company. So they moved here decades ago in the 40s or 50s, and they have been producing asphalt shingles ever since.
Yeah.
24/7, 365, as you mentioned, Aggie.
Yes.
Um, they have been on. They are in what's known as non-conforming use, which means that in the beginning they were allowed to be there. It was zoned for industrial, but now it is not zoned for industrial and zoned for residential, which is where you guys live now. But they're still allowed to be there. It's kind of a legal gray area. So the fight now is to remove them, especially the pollution, the polluting parcels that they have, remove them and get them out of town. Um, so did you specifically you, Julio, did you talk to neighbors about what was going on? Like why is there so much dust? Why is there so much pollution in the air? What was kind of the community feeling there?
Sí, los vecinos, sobre todo los más cerca, aquí, al de enfrente que es hispano, él tiene 20 años viviendo aquí, pero dicen que ya están impuestos, que no, algunos dicen que no pasa nada, pero al tiempo hemos platicado con las personas que vivían aquí, las personas mayores, y ellas sí nos han explicado que esto ha estado contaminando y los tienen en el hospital por semanas. Hay personas que se van por 1, 2, 3 semanas y regresan 8 días y vuelven otra vez porque, porque están afectadas de los bronquios, de los para la respiratorio.
So he says that when he got here, of course, you know, we have a neighbor that he's been here for 20, he's lived in Joppy for 20 years. And we pretty much asked him, you know, about the smell and everything. He's like, pretty much told him, oh, you'll get used to it. Like, and then of course, you know, we know people that, you know, they have problems with, you know, bronchitis and things like that. You have pretty much what seems like you have allergies, but it's like allergies that never go away. You know, I lived in when I was living in South Carolina, yeah, there's a lot of vegetation, and you have your seasonal allergies, but those go away, you know, in a few weeks. But here it just seems like I've been having allergies for like the past 3 months already, and yeah, they'll go away for a few weeks and then I get them back again. And they'll say it's allergies, and I know it's not just allergies, it's everything I'm breathing here.
Julio, you mentioned neighbors would tell you, yeah, you'll get used to it, what have you. How did that make you feel? Did it frustrate you that people were kind of like just so numb to everything?
Me sentí frustrado, me dio como un tipo de coraje por no haber indagado antes lo que estaba pasando en el área. De hecho, yo lo platiqué con mi esposa, pero ya estábamos aquí. Y sí me sentí muy frustrado y con ganas de hacer algo, pero sin poder hacer nada, porque esas son compañías muy fuertes, muy poderosas, con muchísimo dinero, y no hay recursos para pelear con ella. Entonces, sí se siente uno eh, frustrado por no poder hacer algo para mejorar la situación.
He says, yeah, at first, of course, he felt frustrated at the fact that he should have done more research about the area and everything, you know, and him and my mom talked about it. But by then, it was pretty much too late because they're already, living here, and the frustration pretty much of not being able to do something exactly, like I guess fighting these companies that are like, especially like these um $1 million companies. They have money, they have power, they have influences. Of course, you just like a resident of Joppa. What can I do? um and the fact of wanting to do something but trying to find the resources of how to do it, or guidance of how to do it, and not knowing like how to start or where to start.
Y por eso, cuando escuché luego, al año creo, cuando escuché
I don't know,
del
downwinder.
Downwinders, cuando llegaron ellos y empezaron a explicar, entonces a mí me interesó mucho y quise hacer algo para mejorar el nivel de contaminación de la comunidad y yo el primer día me fui por todas las casas, este, pero también con la frustración de no poder hacer más. Por eso, empecé a apoyar a Downwinders y por eso, sigo aquí, por eso, porque me interesa que la gente sepa que
He says that he felt like there was hope um once um downwinders pretty much came into the area. And I guess in that first meeting that he went, he took a lot of interest, and in getting involved and doing something about it. And pretty much, I guess after that day, he went canvassing himself, telling many people, about what was going on, especially with that study that Texas A&M did in our area. And we had I remember we had a really, really good turnout on that one. Um, but still, he still feels frustrated at the fact that he cannot do more, you know, because que se necesita dinero. You need a lot of money to fight these huge companies. You need money to fight money.
Absolutely. Now you mentioned downwards going in, but you yourself, I mean, you guys are Justice for Joppa, right? So
Oh
when
yes,
did that organization start?
when we were fighting the asphalt plant, they wanted to renew their, I guess, their license to continue operating. And I remember that day my sister and I went, they gave us the shirts, we had shirts made, we made the signs. And I guess the president of that company was going to be there, and they wanted to renew to continue, another 10 years. So we're like, oh no, we cannot have you another 10 years here. So we went to the hearing, where I guess they had set up. Um, and that day, I guess I don't know if he was the owner or just the president of the company or what, but it was them. I know it was two of the main ones that were there. And we they had a microphone set up, and I think it was just like a bunch of us. um I would say like, I don't know how many of us went. I would say like around 30 of us were there, or probably more. But we all voiced our concern of them continue to operate. And yeah, thankfully their license did not get renewed, you know. So from there we pretty much took it, and we're like, okay, we're doing justice, justice for our community. Our community is Joppa. So from there, that's where Justice for Joppa was born. And we're like, okay, this asphalt company wasn't, as big as TAMKO, but you got to start small. So we pretty much thought, well, we could go against this company. Then I mean, it's probably going to take us years, or we don't know how long, but we need to do justice, for our own community. If nobody's going to come and fight for us, we got to take it upon ourselves to do something about it. And I guess all we needed was pretty much like the resources or the coaching on how to do a lot, because we're just residents. I mean, we don't know a lot of the things, that go on, or when there's certain meetings in city, down in city hall and things like that, because they're not publicized, for the public to know, because the less public it is, the less people will go, and their excuse is gonna be, oh, they're not interested. They don't have a concern. And whenever we find out about these meetings or whatever, I'm pretty sure they're not too happy when they see the community show up. And not just our community, it's several communities, and we kind of like we go and we support each other. It's like in Spanish we have this saying that says hoy por ti, mañana por mí, which means today for you and tomorrow it will be me. Like today I help you, tomorrow you help me.
Absolutely. Justice for Jockey, really quickly, what year did you guys start that?
Um yeah, pretty much like 3 years ago
3 years.
when I got here.
So you mentioned uh at the beginning, Julio, when you were talking to neighbors, they were kind of like, they were kind of shrugging. But then you guys started canvassing and there was a lot of community involvement. Did that surprise you? The dichotomy of those two kind of responses, um, the seemingly nonchalant response at first, and then finally getting the community engagement kind of overnight. How did that kind of make you feel?
Honestamente, sí me sorprendió un poco, pero yo quería ver más, porque no fue ni el 10%, tal vez 5, pero anduvimos trabajando mucho para que la gente asistiera, anduvimos hablándoles del resultado de las pruebas que iban a hacer, y ahí nació más mi interés, ahí me enamoré yo de este proyecto por la información que nos dieron, por saber qué tan contaminado estaba y por alguna que otra persona que estaba en contra también. Eso me hizo a mí agarrarme más.
He says that at the same time we had a pretty good turnout, not as big of a turnout as he would have wanted it, but pretty much just seeing that a lot of people were misinformed or did not know, and especially people that had been here for so many years. Um, and that pretty much like encouraged him and wanting to, you know, get involved even more in this entire project. And at the same time, there's a few people, that I guess, like they say, they didn't want to move the waters, they didn't want to, swim in that water. And I don't think they were actually like against, what was, being informed and everything. They just, like they said, let's not wake up the giant. But at the same time, my dad was he wanted to take it more upon himself, like in getting the information out, and for people that still don't know, getting to know what's going on, especially I guess the newer people that are moving in.
Absolutely. That let's not rock the boat mentality. I've come across that so much in
Yeah.
Dallas. And it's frustrating. What made you guys believe you could do it though? Like, what made you say, I don't care, I'm gonna rock the boat and you're gonna come on this boat with me? Like, what was it that made you guys still go, full steam ahead and not caring what others thought?
Creo que en mi caso fue algo instintivo, algo que me hizo despertar como yo siempre estuve.
Pues tu salud.
Sí, yo ya estaba diagnosticado, de esa enfermedad, y no fue eso, sino que me salió dentro de mí, salió algo que me hizo comprender, abrir los ojos, que había una necesidad muy grande, eh, fuera de mi persona, de mi control. Había algo más grande, no sé, algo me motivaba. Aparte, hubo una mujer ahí que salió a a gritar ahí en contra, y de hecho esa señora me invitó a mí a pertenecer a su grupo, y eso me hizo a mí pensar, bueno, ¿cuál es el interés de esta mujer? Eh, y me dijo que esto no iba a servir, que nos estaban engañando, y esto me hizo a mí despertar y querer saber más.
He pretty much, uh, ¿qué dijiste al principio? Ya se me olvidó.
Uy,
Oh, he pretty much got interested in fighting even more. I guess it was just instinct for him, and I guess being survival mode, and especially now that he's diagnosed with prostate cancer and a
nunca había
cancer.
pasado por nada de
So
esto.
he's never been through any of this. And then pretty much it was just like instinct in his health,
Amor por la gente.
and then the love for the community. That's what made him fight for this even more. And then I guess we did have a bit of a challenge. There was one person that had invited him to a different group, but for him it was like, what is the main goal of this other group? Would this person be inviting me?
Y me enteró más cuando me dijo ella que ellos nos estaban engañando.
Oh, and then this person told him, you know, um, they're pretty much like playing you a fool, They're not telling you the whole truth as far, I guess. Trying to make TAMKO seem like they were, oh, they're helping the community. You shouldn't go against them, type of thing. So my dad was like, no. So he didn't take that invitation, and he pretty much, it made him even more interested in, you know, why, um,
Ella estaba haciendo eso.
why she was doing this, and pretty much just I guess my dad doing it more for the community than in getting any incentive from TAMKO at all, It's so easy. I mean, the TAMKO, if you're on their side, yes, they will give you a new roof and things like that, Um, but when you're on this other side, yeah, there's no incentive. It's just you fighting, the community fighting. You don't get free turkeys on Thanksgiving or any type of help, which we're not interested in that. We're interested in them leaving, you know. none of that's gonna repay our health or anybody that lives here in the in Joppa community, community's health. Our health has no price. The air has no price. Um, I guess the best thing they could do is just leave and let us be able to, um, breathe fresh air. I'm pretty sure, that's why at the same time, that's why you don't see children outside playing much because, if the air quality it's bad, kids not even they don't even want to be out there. A little neighbor's out there running, and then next thing you know, he's like, "Mom, it smells mad nasty." Come back inside, play inside.
I gotta say, it takes a lot of fortitude. Maybe that's the word. I feel like I should. There's probably a stronger word, but it takes a lot for somebody to both want to rock the boat, but also reject all the niceties, maybe,
Right.
that a multi-billion dollar or multi-million dollar company would offer you. You're right. People do get free or, reduced price roofs. Um, I've heard, companies giving to churches and, making themselves present at church,
Yeah.
just so the people, would be like, well, they're a great company or, they're a great organization. What's the matter with them? Why can't everybody just, just be okay with all of this? It takes a lot to reject all of that. So I commend you guys for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not for us, I guess, because when we see, you know, none of that's gonna get, better our health at all. I mean, it's pretty much like being on their side, but we're fighting against you. So at the same time, yeah, for other folks, it's easier there. We have other, organizations, but at the same time, they're pretty much, I guess, on a hush hush because they don't want to rock the boat, not go against them because they don't want to miss out on the perks, that they're getting, from this huge company. And we're not in it for no perks or anything, we're in it for our community.
All right, guys. Well, it has been an amazing conversation and enlightening one for sure. We're winding down, and I want to respect your time and everything.
Sure.
I do have a few more questions that I ask all of my guests, and I'm going to ask you guys, what is the best part about? I'll leave this up to you, either Joppy or Dallas or Texas or the United States, because you're a family of immigrants. And what is the biggest room for improvement living in either Joppy, Dallas, Texas, or the U.S.?
Concerniendo a mí, lo,
No te tapes mucho.
lo que más me hace, lo que más me gusta de vivir en Dallas es mi familia, tener la familia unida. Ya no trabajo, pero mi familia es lo más importante y la, la comunidad hispana, la comunidad que tal vez sin saberlo me acogió, pero ahorita, si yo pudiera irme a vivir a México sabiendo que, que, que todo va a estar bien allá, yo preferiría estar viviendo en México que viviendo aquí con la condición de las situaciones como están.
This is what he loves about, I guess, living here in Dallas in general is the fact that, our entire family's here. My sisters, everybody lives here in Dallas and just keeping our family together. We're pretty much tight knit family. We take care of each other, and when he came here to Dallas, he felt a welcoming, from not just the Latino community that was already living here in Dallas. So that's what he loves about it. Um, but with the situation that we're living right now, he would very much prefer to live in Mexico right now. But the only thing
Yeah.
that's keeping him here is basically just the family. Right now he would have been retired, living in Mexico, maybe more than likely worry free, but we're pretty much keeping him here.
Dile que yo antes compraba $200 de mandado y me duraba 15 días. Ahora compro $200 de mandado y me dura 3 días.
He says that he used to buy 200 back then. He used to buy $200 worth of groceries, and that would last him 2 entire weeks. Now he
Okay.
buys $200 of groceries. It won't even last him a week.
Yeah. That's the inflation economy for you, for sure. Where do you see Joppa or Dallas in 10 years?
Yo lo que quiero ver, yo siempre lo he dicho cuando me han entrevistado, cuando me han preguntado. Yo quiero ver un shopping center en el lugar donde está la TAMKO. Quiero ver tiendas de conveniencia en el lugar donde está la polvera esa. Quiero ver, y dentro de 10 años Joppa se va a ir para arriba. Todo va a cambiar, va a haber toda una nueva generación, se va a poner mucho mejor y ojalá y estemos aquí todavía para verlo.
Um, as far as his hopes are, to see shopping centers where we now have TAMKO, something useful for the community, probably a laundromat, I don't know, things that our community can use. But being realistic, um, he sees an entire new generation, here in Joppa, because everybody has a beginning and an end, but he's hoping for the best and seeing Joppa grow and growing for the best of it.
Absolutely. And this is to each of you guys. Anything that you wanted to share during this episode that you couldn't?
Algo que quisieras compartir o comparto yo.
Ujú.
¿Cómo que?
No sé de los deseos que tenemos de
Well, yeah, that's one of the things that we do desire to see here in Joppa. Our community, it's a beautiful community. It's people that live here are friendly. We hope to be able to, if we don't want to see gentrification in Joppa. Its community is beautiful, and we don't want Joppa to get gentrified. And a lot of the times when Dallas, the city of Dallas, starts trying to do something better for the community, it seems like they just want to do it for a different type of people, and they want to get rid of the people that established this community or that have been living in this community, and we don't want to see that. And we want to see something better for the community, not for people that they have vision living in this community, and we don't want that at all. We would like more support from the city of Dallas, from our mayor, from our councilmen, from pretty much everybody that's accountable for helping, the people. They work for the people. They should work for the people, not for themselves, not for the millionaires or billionaires or these huge companies. Um, they work for us, for the communities.
y
100%
quiero un
agree.
gobierno diferente. No.
He wishes for a different government.
Wait, say it again?
He wishes for a different government.
Esperamos
Oh.
que mejore después de 4 años.
He hopes and dreams, I guess, for everything to change in I guess after 4 years.
Yes.
I
I
know,
don't
you
think
know
I
what I
can
mean.
agree. I don't think I can agree anymore, for sure. Well, guys, Julio, Aggie, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate each
Yeah.
of you guys. Best of luck to you guys and to Justice for Joppa as well. We achieved a huge win. You
Yes.
guys did, and so did the West Dallas community. The 5 signature memo in the city of Dallas, which is the first real step in this entire process of amortization, which, for those that don't know, basically means getting those 2 companies out, the one in Joppa and the one in West Dallas. So appreciate each of you guys.
Yes, thank you
Folks,
for
this has
having
been,
us.
yes,
Hey, I want to
absolutely.
say
Thank
thank
you.
you, brother. And we make a lot of, we know a lot of people. We make a lot of friends. And I want to thank you because I know you for maybe a year and a half, and some other guys who helping us. I want to say thank you. Thank you to everybody.
Yeah, for letting our voices be heard here on here and letting your audience know about these problems.
Absolutely. 100%. Folks, this has been Chronicles of a Dallas County Democrat. Like, share, subscribe. We out.